self-belief. I'll tell you my own incidents in my own life. There's a statement I would tell myself every single day is I am the best leadership speaker, executive coach, and author. And I would say this even before I knew that I would be recognized in America as one of the only women of Indian descent to be a leadership speaker and an author in a white male-dominated society. And I say this not to impress, but to express that you have to constantly remind yourself what and who you are fighting for.
Hello everyone, my name is Srikanth. I am the host of the show Inspire Someone Today. This podcast brings in personalities from a cross-section of our society who will share their perspectives, learnings, hacks and experiences that can inspire all of us in our journeys. Come, join me on this ride. With me today is Payal Nanjiani, globally acclaimed leadership expert and coach. Payal, what a privilege to have you on Inspire Someone Today.
Thank you so much, Srikanth. It's an honor to be here on your podcast. And thank you for doing this, for inspiring people around and for getting them to do what they should do. So thank you.
My pleasure, Payal. So you are in a very chosen field of work, which is about leadership development, leadership coaching. Mm-hmm. And related to that, I would want to kickstart our conversation with lessons in leadership. In the work that you have undertaken, Payal, what leadership lessons have you kind of come across? And leaders, as we know, are the difference makers. Mm-hmm. What comes to your mind? What can you talk about this particular area?
So I am a learner by nature. In my 21 years of speaking, executive coaching and training huge corporates, I have learned numerous leadership lessons, I should say. But in the time that we have together today on this podcast, I will share 3 of them here, which I think would be extremely useful given the global economic crisis we are in, just like you mentioned. For starters, I would say expand your capacity regularly. Our world is changing dramatically because of digitalization. You truly have to make AI your friend and not your ally. People are so afraid of AI. I get questions all the time. In fact, there was an article I had submitted in Silicon Valley that AI is not here to destroy you. It is here to help you. It just depends how you work on it. New drivers are entering the market. So, we need to remember that businesses don't compete. It's the leaders who compete. So as a leader, you must regularly invest in expanding your capacity, your capacity to learn more, to deliver more, and to challenge yourself more. That I would say would be a priority. Secondly, I would say expand your tribe. As I talk to you, I remember there is this very old Chinese proverb. If you want 1 year of prosperity, grow grain. If you want 10 years of prosperity, grow trees. And if you want 100 years of prosperity, grow people. So, when times are tough, your knowledge, your expertise isn't really going to help you as much as your networking. And when you network, you really want to be very selective in whose inner circle you are and who is in your inner circle. And then you want to add value to those people in your inner circle. If you have taken the time and if you have connected with someone, be of value to them. That's what I have always learned from these A players. Don't connect to ask for favors, but instead you've got to be of value to their journey. You want to check in with them. You want to see if everything at their end is going great. Do they need help with anything? Do they need help with any connections? Don't feel that just because he or she is a CEO of a company, they don't need anything or they don't need to connect with anyone. They do. And number 3, let me think of something with expand. Okay, expand your vision, right? So because best of the leaders are visionaries. And as you mentioned, Srikanth, these are times of crisis. We're in a pandemic times. You've got to be able to think long and think big because 75% of the people in the corporate and business world, they settle for less. They dream according to their reality. In fact, it's just the opposite. You've got to dream big. You've got to see a bigger version for yourself, for your teams, for your organization. And you've got to make your reality fit into that vision. You don't have to change your vision to fit into the reality. There's a vast difference between both these statements. This is something I think Helen Keller had said, that the most pathetic person in the world is someone who has sight but no vision. From my end, I would say these are some of, at least three lessons that I would think of right on top of my mind while I'm talking to you, and would love to share with these nuggets with our audience.
So three nuggets, which is expand your capacity, expand your tribe, and expand your vision. And particularly what I liked in your expand your tribe is be a giver more than being a receiver.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. Because, this is a time where everyone is looking for hope. So if you feel that, oh my God, what can I give to someone? You can at least start by giving hope, and see how that really builds and establishes your relationship.
Great. And again, in your journey, Payal, what are some of the rituals and practices that you have seen of successful leaders?
Well, I would say there are quite a few. Number one, I would say reflection. I'll tell you this backstory here when I think of reflection. Once, while playing golf with a CEO of a mid-sized company, I asked him. I said, what is your success ritual? What is it that you do that has brought you to become the CEO of this company at such a young age of 43 years old? And that's a wonderful response he gave me. He said, Payal, every single day I take time to think. 45 minutes. He said, 45 minutes every single day in the morning when I wake up. The first thing I do after my exercise is to give time to reflect, think. He said, I think of everything. I think of ideas. I think of my dreams. I think of what worked and what did not work yesterday at my work. I think about my teams. I think about in which direction the organization has to go. I think about where do I want to play? How do I want to play this game of leadership and business? So I think if each of us, we are able to take this and put this in our reality, in our real life, is to take the time to reflect. It's like saying, when you have to hit the target with the arrow, you have to pull the arrow back so that it moves ahead with force. So there's the same thing with we people. We can be going day to day with each work and work pressures and deadlines and projects. We've got to make sure that we take time to take a step back to reflect. And it's not that, oh, you know what, I'll reflect after 3 months, or I'll reflect during Christmas time or Thanksgiving time or during my summer break. You have to make this a practice every single day. So that's one of the ritual. Another one that comes to my mind is execution. I don't know who said this. I'm not sure of the name of the person who said this, but someone said a very good quote. It is like, anyone who showers has ideas, but it is what you do after you come out of that shower with those ideas is what separates the peak performers from average performers. So push yourself to do what you think of. It's not enough to just sit back and reflect. You also have to then come out of that phase and you have to make sure that you now execute, you now put into action what you have been thinking. And let me tell you here's something, Shrikant. This is one of the major setbacks of people. This is where people fall short, is in their executions. They will wait for the circumstance to change. They will wait for the pandemic to get over. They will wait for the budget to be approved, for the government to change. It's not going to happen. Your career life is going to pass by in waiting. So to take the time, immediately get into execution mode, the action mode. And if I had to just add one more very quickly, I would say self-belief. I'll tell you my own incidents in my own life. There's a statement I would tell myself every single day is, I am the best leadership speaker, executive coach, and author. And I would say this even before I knew that I would be recognized in America as one of the only women of Indian descent to be a leadership speaker and an author in a white male-dominated society. And I say this not to impress, but to express that you have to constantly remind yourself what and who you are fighting for. There is no one who is going to come there and push you out and tell you, oh, you know what, that's a great job. There is no one out there. And if you're going to wait for your boss or for someone to come and pat your back and say, oh, wow, you did a wonderful job, I'm going to tell you something. You're going to be in a waiting mode. And you're going to be dependent on other people for your self motivation, for your own self inspiration. So you have to declare your intentions. You have to believe in your abilities, in what you want, in what you want to declare. And the universe will rise to help you manifest them.
I think as you were speaking, a quote came to my mind, which was, thoughts without action is delusion. And you did touch upon this fact that you started your whole journey as a leadership speaker and author in the US. And now you are on a mission in India to transform or transform leaders, both in the corporate sector as well as in academia. Walk us through your journey. What is your goal? What is your vision around this big agenda that you have set for yourself?
Oh, that's a question, Shrikant, which is very, very close to my heart. A little bit of the backstory would be like for 21 years, I've been helping corporate America and the Western world in developing world class leaders. And every time that I would travel to India, what I noticed was one huge big problem here is that corporates in India were still following the concept of old leadership, where they would train their leaders, where leadership was based on positions, on titles, where there was a lot of focus on skill sets. There was a lot of focus on, hey, you did great in the last few quarters. You need to move up to the leadership position. And while people were there, they had no idea of what they are supposed to do in that position. So they would get trained as leaders, and they would be trained onto different aspects and elements of leaders. And we started to notice whenever I would come, I would see that, okay, you know what, most of the people are stuck in the mid-level management. And because of that, the company isn't functioning or isn't growing exponentially the way it should grow. And another thing that I noticed was that India was being recognized in the world in the field of turning out doctors and engineers and MBAs, but not leaders. So that's when I had this very deep calling, very, very deep calling, that I really want to put a lot of my time, my resources in doing leadership speaking, training, and executive coaching for developing transformed leaders in corporate India. There's a huge difference between the both. And that difference, if I explain, it will be like the entire podcast time would be taken. But this is what I have been now working on, is to develop transformed leaders in corporate India and in the academic space here, with a sincere, very, very, very sincere hope, Shrikant, that it's a vision of getting India recognized in the field of leadership on the global map. And I'll be very honest, I am very, very, very grateful for my team, both in India and America, who are living this vision and working towards it with me every single day. So that's where we as a team want to see India. And I think to a lot of extent, that's how you and I also connected, because when you contacted my team is, when I saw your podcast and I was like, oh, this is so good. You're doing something to inspire the people to be successful and to do their best. So I think we all are working towards this one goal.
Wonderful, Payal. I think that's a great, audacious goal. And I do see that you keep using this phrase, which is success is within. Can you expand a bit more on what you mean by that and what is the meaning behind those two phrases?
Sure, sure. So I'll interconnect both of them, Shrikant, because success is within is a leadership concept, which I had coined based on the foundation of inner leader. It's in all of my books. In any of the books you read, you will read about inner leader. That is what's the foundation of success is within. And it's the foundation term for which I was recognized in the media for redefining leadership. Add to it, it's also the title of my first book, Success is Within. Okay, so it's all very interconnected to what you asked. But what it purely means is that, we come to work every single day. We build on our skills, our credentials. We want to put in our best. What we forget is that you take yourself with you everywhere. So, in the business world, we are taught that when you feel that there is no growth in the company, or you have a bad boss, or your team isn't cooperative, work environment is negative, we are taught to pack our bags and leave, go to the new company, new boss, new environment. That's the type of suggestions people give you. And, while you are there in the new company with a new boss, new projects, new salary, everything seems to be like a wow factor. And you feel, wow, I'm out of that environment and I'm into a new one. What we don't realize is that as we have changed the lane and come into a new one, problems and challenges are going to follow us. They are going to be much bigger in the new place, and when we hit that challenge, when we hit a bigger problem, what do you think we are going to do? We are again going to pack our bags and look out for something else, for some another lane. And that's how we are going to keep going. Because that's the only thing we have learned, right? That, okay, keep packing your bags and move on. There's a lot of opportunities out there. There's a lot of stuff out there. What we don't realize is that wherever we go, we're going to take ourselves with us. That negativity inside of us, that lack of problem solving skills within us, all of that is going to go with us. So until you don't know how to grow where you are planted, that's a very important element in leadership. You have to know, how to grow where you are planted. You have to know that wherever you are, that's the fertile ground for you. That's given to you. There's a reason for it. And your current situation, your current people around you are there for a reason. And that reason is you. Because however you are is the type of people, situations, boss, company, everything is that's how you're going to meet them. So until you change, nothing is going to change. So you have to begin to lead that change. And that's what success is within is all about, of how you tune your inner leader in such aspects, in such elements, that it is able to deliver you the results that you want in your work life.
So in a way, it's changing your own internal belief systems about success before you kind of get external validations for it.
Right. And I would say it is much beyond changing your internal beliefs. It is actually making sure that you as a person, you have conditioned your inner leader to succeed. You've conditioned your inner leader to be so powerful that it can rise against in any circumstances, and it can rise above all people behaviors. That's what we see the top 20% of the people in the world doing.
So we are talking so much about leadership, and you are also a successful host of a podcast, which is Payal Nanjiani Leadership Podcast. And I would want to bring your attention to what has been your own leadership moments and takeaways interacting with whole galaxy of leaders across sectors, across industries.
I must say, Shrikant, that I do feel blessed to interact with these incredible influencers worldwide who are willing to openly share their experiences, their pitfalls, their stories on my podcast to help millions of people who follow my podcast. But these are the people who want to become successful in their own lives and help them to jumpstart their careers. If I was to pick some, like you said, some of them, I would say number one, what I have been learning from these influencers is be clear and to think big, be a risk taker. I know it's, we try to hold ourselves back, and we tend to go behind the curtain when there are, problems, or when there's a pandemic or anything. But we still need to know that as people, we are the ones who are going to be facing more challenges ahead. So be courageous and keep moving. A rolling stone does not gather moss. So keep rolling, whatever the times are, whatever the economic conditions are. You need to make sure that you are progressing every single day, however small those steps are, however small the progress is, even a millimeter of it does make a big difference at the end of the day.
Great. So you did speak about being courageous, keep rolling. Any specific tips or tricks around how one can get better in these aspects of it, Payal?
The reason we are not able to be courageous, to think big or think bold, is because we allow our work culture. And when I say work culture, I mean worldwide. We allow all of these things, our positions, our titles, to define us. We have been fed a lot of things in our minds, and we accept them, and we feel, okay, you know what, this is what we are meant for. We shouldn't be going more. It's going to be a risk. I don't know what's going to happen. There's a difference between being cautious risk taker and being a careless risk taker. You need to be a cautious risk taker. That's how businesses work. That's how, when you see the CEOs, they are not careless. They are very cautious in their investments and in their risk taking, especially these days when Wall Street is having so much of focus on which CEO is delivering which results. So everybody is cautious. That's given. But at the same time, if you want to be courageous, if you want to keep moving, you have to know that the reason we fall short is because, I'll come back to that point, we do not take actions, we procrastinate. So rather than feeling fearful of, I don't know what will happen, I would say just take a small and easy step towards that thing that is getting you afraid, or towards that goal, and just tell yourself, let's see what happens. I have nothing to lose. Let's see what happens if I just take a little small step towards it. I think that will give you the courage to keep moving.
Excellent. So, Payal, we have been talking about a lot of leadership messages, leadership experiences that you've had working with a wide variety of leaders across the globe, or a message or a poem. What would Payal's Billboard message be like?
Trust the process. That's what I would say. Trust the process. If you have dreams, if you have goals, most of us get overwhelmed because we get worried of how will it happen. When you see that big goal in front of you and you start telling yourself, oh my God, how is it going to happen? There is no answer to it because you don't know the how. And the how is not your business. Absolutely. It's the business of the universe. It's the business of the higher powers. Your job is to trust the process. Your job is to stick to your goals like super glue and keep moving ahead. Like I'm again saying, keep moving ahead and trust the process. Somehow it will get done if you just stay in the game.
Excellent. Trust the process. Keep moving. Payal, you are also fresh out of your new book title, Achieve Unstoppable Success in Any Economy. Couldn't have been a better title and better time to have this book. And I do see that you have kind of very concisely come up with the 7 rituals or the 7 mantras, as you say. Can you briefly touch upon one or two of those mantras and give us a nugget of what it is all about?
Sure, Shrikant. You rightly said, when the book was getting launched, my publisher mentioned exactly the same lines like what you have said. There couldn't be a better time for this book because the book was launched during the COVID times, which was 2020. That's when it was launched in September and October of that time. And the world was going through this entire cycle of a global crisis where we were seeing an economic downfall. And he said exactly the same thing because what's mentioned in this book specifically is that whatever be the economies in the businesses are always changing. There was 9/11, there was the Great Recession. It just keeps happening. There is no time where businesses and does not go through a recession time where the world doesn't see. Not to say that the pandemic is something which I do not think that it's a small thing or something. Yes, it has its relevance, and I'm telling you, it's really huge in people's life. And I've seen a lot of job losses, a lot of business closures. But at the same time, what this book is about is that whatever be the economy, whatever be your circumstances, there are people, there are businesses, which even I am seeing even during these pandemics, who are doing great, who are coming up with new strategies, new ideas to serve their customers. That means there is a rule, there is something that these people know, which majority of the population of the world does not know. So whenever I've had the opportunity to sit with these people, is how this book got framed. It has a lot of interviews of people who have reached a very high domain in their life. They are CIOs of companies, they are brain surgeons at Duke universities. So, they have put in their thoughts of how they have moved ahead, be it any circumstances. So I think this book will really help people to get there, to know exactly what are some of these ways which are so doable. And I'm telling you, every mantra that is written in the book is so doable, is so simple. When you read them, you're like, okay, this is what's happening out there in their lives. For example, in the book, there is a mantra, a chapter that talks about act like a success. And in a nutshell, what this basically says is that most of us We know where we want to go. We have our ideas and our plans put in place. We know our goals, but every single day we take actions which are completely opposite to where we want to go. So that's how the gap gets created, and then we begin to question ourselves. Oh, why is it that I'm not achieving what I want to achieve? There is a technique in this book called, I think it's RPM, rapid priming method, that tells you how to take your actions according to where you want to reach and not in the opposite direction. So that's one of the mantras. Another one, very quickly, I'll tell you, is it's called the season. It tells of how our work life is. We face numerous seasons: slow economic seasons, conflict-filled seasons, opportunities and problem-rich seasons, retirement seasons, growth seasons, promotions and layoff seasons. But the toughest of all the season for anyone, whether it's you, me, or anyone, is the season of silence. It's a time when you are working hard, putting in the efforts, and yet you see no results. And I will tell you, it is during the season of silence that 90% of the people across the globe, they get discouraged and they give up on their dreams. So this chapter, this mantra specifically speaks about how you should not give up when you do not see anything happening on the outside, and how you can maximize the season you are in and leverage it to your advantage, which means right now we are all facing the season of an economic crisis. How do you maximize this season and leverage it to your advantage?
I urge all my listeners to go pick up a copy of this wonderful book that has a lot more insights into it. The book is titled Achieve Unstoppable Success in Any Economy. And Payal, thanks so much for sharing those insights.
Thanks, Srikanth. And can I just add something here? This is specially for the audience of your podcast, Srikanth. If they want a signed copy of the book, they can go on my website and place the order. And wherever they are in India, I'll be very, very happy to send them the signed copy of the book once they place the order, or they can email our team. But this is specifically for your audience, Srikanth.
That's a wonderful gesture, Payal. I appreciate it. What would be your Inspire Someone Today message for all the listeners out there?
I would say we all have a very limited time in our professional, in our career life. So it's very soon you're going to pass on the stage to someone else. Somebody else is going to come and do what you're doing. So stop putting your hands out for everything. Give me more love, give me more respect, give me promotions, give me more. So stop putting your hands out for everything. Make yourself very powerful. Rather than behaving like a victim, be like a leader. And in your journey upward, you are going to face a lot of challenges. You are going to face a whole lot of obstacles. And you are going to have people who will want to pull you down. But here's something: you are not meant for mediocrity. The fact that you are here in this, doing what you're doing, it means you are created for something bigger. Now, there is something which I always write in all of my books, or whether you're following me on Insta or LinkedIn, you will always hear me say this: success never, ever discriminates between a man or a woman. Never. But success does discriminate based on, are you a person who is purely just interested in becoming a successful person or a leader, or are you a person who is genuinely committed to being a successful leader? Both are extremely different. That's how success discriminates, not based on a man or a woman. So in your journey upward, as you face all these problems, as you face all these obstacles, keep moving ahead. And as you keep moving ahead, your light is going to be shining more brighter. You're going to be shining more. You're going to be more visible. And as you are more visible, there are people around you who are not going to like it. Your light, your shine is going to hurt them. They are not able to see you up there. But that doesn't mean that you stop moving upward. It doesn't mean that you dim your light. The only thing you want to do is you want to keep moving ahead. You want to let them be where they are. Give them a pair of shades if your light is hurting them. But you continue to be unstoppable in your journey to becoming a great leader.
Payal, thank you so much for taking time and sharing these wonderful learnings that you have had working very closely with the top leaders across the globe. I'm sure my listeners would appreciate. And once again, thanks for the gesture of the signed copy of your book. Okay, that's a wrap for this episode, and I would love to hear from you. There's an option to leave a voice message, and the link is embedded in the show notes. So go out there, share your views, and I eagerly look forward to hearing from you. Stay well, stay safe, and keep inspiring. Thank you for listening into today's edition of Inspire Someone Today. It's been a privilege to bring in these conversations. If you like this episode and have any feedback or comments, do mail me at inspiresomeonetodaypodcast@gmail.com. Inspiring someone is like creating ripples around us. If you like what to listen, feel free to share them and let's create ripples of inspiration. Do not forget to follow me on my Instagram handle @InspireSomeoneTodayPodcast for all the latest updates. This is Srikanth, your host, signing off, and until next time, keep inspiring.